Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Flesh and Blood and Bone podcast. I am filmmaker Kyra Gardner, and I am here with my special effects makeup artist dad, Tony Gardner.
I am Tony Gardner.
He's still Tony Gardner every month.
Amazing.
Yes, and today we are going to talk about my upcoming horror slasher film called Sleigh. We did a panel last month with Monsterpalooza that went really well. My dad was there.
A bunch of people were there.
Yes. Did you have a good time?
I did.
Good.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Good response, too. It was nice.
Yeah. And basically, we're going to go to the live audio from the panel at Monsterpalooza. But before we do that, I just want to give everybody sort of a quick plot of the movie so you have a little bit more context going in. So I'm going to read that for you now.
Who wrote it?
Oh, yes. It was written by...
No, who wrote your context?
Oh, me?
Oh, okay.
Question mark. Well, also Jimmy proofread it. So I directed it. My boyfriend, Jimmi Simpson, wrote the film. If you didn't know that, if you're a fan of the horror genre, you might know him from Stay Alive. Have you seen that, Dad?
I have not, but everybody keeps talking about it lately.
Yeah, we should do a Stay Alive episode, even though it has nothing to do with us.
Oh, go for it.
It'd be fun.
Yeah.
We'll make him do it. So if you like that movie, stay tuned. But anyways, to give you the plot of Sleigh, written by Jimmi Simpson, directed by me. So our story follows Chloe Cruz, who is a 17-year-old teenage girl. She is living her best life, popular influencer, hot boyfriend, all her dreams coming true. But when her best friend is mysteriously murdered in her own home, her perfect life topples. She brings her friends to a mountain disco cabin for a spring break getaway, but instead she accidentally drops them all into a murderer's lap. Chloe and her friends have one night to figure out what they're made of, and it's life or death.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So
what makes a disco cabin?
That's a great question because there's actually not a lot of disco balls in the disco cabin. I think just 70s vibe, and also that's like on the little non-copyrighted Airbnb ad that
that they see?
Yes, but also for some context, Chloe's show that she gets in the movie, a disco ball is her logo. So she saw a disco cabin and she thought, on brand.
So that's why she picks it?
Yes.
Got it. Okay.
Yes. So now we bring you to the live episode at Monsterpalooza with myself, my dad, Bryan Christensen, who helped design our killer's mask, Jimmi Simpson, and Shawnee Smith makes an appearance as well, all hosted by Zoran Gvojic from DeadMeat.
Welcome to this panel for the indie movie Sleigh. And we're going to bring up a lot of people that are involved in this wonderful film. And then we're going to show you a little special something that's only for this panel here. So first we're going to bring out the, host of the Flesh and Blood and Bone podcast and director of the film. May also know her from her documentary Living with Chucky, Miss Kyra Gardner. Welcome.
Is this on? Oh, okay.
It is on.
Hello.
Keep it right there on your chin.
Okay.
Let's stand up right there. Anytime you do stand up, just glue it.
Thank you.
And then we'll bring up the co-host of the Flesh and Blood and Bone podcast. You may know him from doing all the special effects ever for movies like Army of Darkness, Hocus Pocus, and a personal favorite, 1993's Freaked. That's Tony Gardner. Come on up. Yes, thank you.
Hello, everyone.
All right. And then we have another special effects designer who helped design the masks for Totally Killer, Hard Eyes, and our Sleigh slasher here, Mr. Bryan Christensen.
Hello, hello.
And then finally, we're going to bring up the co-writer, producer of Sleigh, a man you've seen in Black Mirror, Westworld, and most importantly, getting trampled to death by a horse and carriage in the movie Stay Alive, Mr. Jimmi Simpson. Welcome, everybody. And Kyra, if you'd like to say, what are we going to show right now?
Hey guys, so we are going to show you like an exclusive sort of sneak peek behind the scenes video about our movie.
Yeah.
We'll play that and then we'll get into it.
Let's do it.
Somebody will play it.
Let's watch it.
Chloe, you're a very singular influencer. Why step away now?
Because I don't want to be famous for who I am. I want to be famous for what I do. I'm starring in a horror movie about
Horror film.
classy.
We're here if you need anything, Chloe.
Absolutely anything. Aromatherapy, temple massage, shoe insoles.
Well, my babies, this is the best!
You guys are going on a 2-day party? Let's look like it.
Hey, bitches! Last one in gets the shit-ass room. Hey!
Down.
Yeah, baby!
What are you?
We come to this place to laugh, to cry, to care.
What is that? Why are you doing that?
Well, 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 get in, losers!
Harmony. To Harmony. To my best friend, Harmony.
There's so much room for activities. I'm talking about sex.
No! There is something or someone out there!
I'm finding someone to kill with me. Antlers.
Woo! Oh my goodness. So with that, yes, welcome to the Sleigh panel at Monsterpalooza 2025. This is also a very special live episode of the Flesh and Blood and Bone podcast. I am, of course, Zoran had nothing to do with this movie, Gvojic, but I'm very excited to be here talking about it. And, we're just going to start at the very beginning. So, Kyra, when you came out of the birth canal...
Unplanned.
No, sorry, it's too early. So how did this come about? This is your first directorial, narrative feature that you're doing. How did this happen? Like, just start from the beginning there.
Okay, first I was born, and then I made a documentary about living with Chucky, because this is my dad. He's so cool. And I had just finished Living with Chucky. I took it on the festival circuit, and then I sold it. It's out on Screambox now, if you want to watch it. Apple TV, Amazon, wherever you stream horror. And this guy in this production company from the Midwest had reached out to me. They were doing this movie. I really liked the idea, but there was no script when I was first asked to direct it. And then eventually there were 2 scripts that weren't fully finished, and I didn't know how to go about it. And then I actually reached out, and Jimmy read them and helped me write and came on as the writer.
That's true. That's true. We were actually flying back from Sitges to celebrate Living with Chucky. They gave her a special screening there. And I could tell she was a little unsure about this new amazing job that she was getting. And so I said, well, let me take a look at the script. There's plural. And then I did some punch-up notes, because that's kind of how I flirt. And then she passed those to these producers, and then they asked me to write the picture. So she comes along, she gets the directing job. The script was unsorted. We get the writing job.
Yeah.
And it was actually gorgeous, because we just have so many shared interests with horror. And so it was just like, yes, we're finally being able to indulge what we love the most with someone else. You know how rare that is and how awesome that is, especially with horror.
Yeah.
And so we started the prep.
Yes. Lots of prepping, lots of shot listing. My DP was in Africa while we were in pre-production, and I'm a new director, right? That's my first narrative feature. I didn't want to work with a new DP. but I didn't have my DP, and Jimmy lovingly stepped in and helped me shot list and create a lot. So we like unknowingly kind of just started doing it together. And then pre-production was great, but then when we got on set, it started off good and strong, and then halfway into shooting, we were told by the people who had hired us that if we didn't come in as producers, investors were going to drop. So halfway through shooting, not only am I directing, I'm now producing. Jimmy's now producing.
Actor and a director, busy 24 hours a day creatively now, having produced. But so we stepped up because we really love the project, and it was borderline. It was totally ridiculous. Sometimes, like I would catch up other indie filmmakers as we started, and I'd be like, well, "This happened." They'd be like, "Oh my God, welcome to the jungle, dude." Yeah, welcome. And then I caught them up a couple times later. They're like, "Oh, you're not in the jungle. You're in Chernobyl." I've never heard of so many things happening.
Yeah,
But every day the shots were looking so good that she was getting. I was just like, okay, we can do this. We can make this work.
Yeah, and we did. We finished the movie without a production office. I spent 4 movies finishing this movie myself. Your girlie knows how to do payroll now, so if anybody needs help with accounting, I know how to wrap out a movie.
Multi-hyphenate.
Yeah, multi-hyphenate. And we got it done, and we're like now at the spot of having edited most of the film. We just wrapped our reshoots a few weeks ago, actually. We have
Gorgeous.
Our one of our new producers who has been a light, Scott
Foley, raise your hand. Just raise your hand. Yes.
Yes.
It's just one of those people that shows up when in the 11th hour when there's nothing really glamorous or cool yet, and it's just like, I think I believe in you guys, and I don't like what I've heard you go through, so I'd like to ease the pain.
And then our editor, Chris LaRusso, is here. Where the frickety dickety are you? Oh, yeah, there's Chris.
Oh my God, another one.
He's hiding in the back.
Another precious. We've somehow gathered, like Scott hasn't taken a penny because we don't have a penny. Chris is giving us this amazing work at an amazing rate, and it's really become a family.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
So started after my documentary and forged by fire.
My God, you did so much.
Yes.
So much more than just simply, oh, I'll direct this movie that's fully financed and everything is good. And you just had to take on all the roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the movie.
Oh, yes, let's talk about the movie. Well, as you can see here, and that we saw briefly in the clip there, but sitting directly next to me here, if you have a slasher movie,
Yes.
you need a good slasher villain.
Yes.
And does our slasher villain have a name?
You can record now, by the way.
Yes, this is our killer. We call them Kidface. The origins within the movie are there's a horror hangout night between our lead cast members. Someone's dressed as Glitter Carrie, as you saw. Somebody else is Wednesday. And our loving Jordy, played by Sean I always botch his last name, Giambrone, from the Goldbergs. He comes dressed as Nicole Kidman from the AMC ad. So you have to look forward to Sean in a glittery pantsuit in this movie, and that's where the mask itself comes from.
You come to this place for magic.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, Bryan, you designed this mask here.
Yes, I did.
You've designed a number of masks with Freaky and Hard Eyes, or help in the process.
I think it started actually with doing Chucky's Halloween mask in the TV series when he's Hello Kitty. It was the first one that I actually did. And then after that, I did Freaky with Tony, and we did Hard Eyes, which just came out recently. It was great. And then I think this is the next one. Yeah, so that's kind of been victory.
So how do you approach a mask design? We know that it's based on an AMC personality.
Yeah, that was an odd request.
But it is the narrative. It's the narrative story.
Yeah, it's part of that. It's the person came as dressed because I love it in a horror movie when someone dresses as an actual thing for a Halloween costume instead of here's the witch, here's the knight, here's the generic things that we can show in here. No one dresses like that at a Halloween party. You're always something more recognizable.
Yeah.
And so it's motivated by the story, but how did you go about kind of designing, or just general, like when you have to make a mask, where do you start?
It's different every time because it needs to obviously be informed by the story. But with this one, it had to operate as looking enough like what Kyra wanted it to look like, but also not being that at all. So it was a tightrope to walk, and we scanned a few different actresses and then actually kind of amalgamated something that approximated that. So that was pretty fun, actually. It was all designed digitally in ZBrush. We 3D printed the mold and we ran it in silicone from that. So that was the first time we've ever did that, actually. Usually we do clay sculptures or, run them out of silicone from Bondo molds and things like that, hard molds. But the 3D printed element was a lot of fun this time.
And are there multiple masks of this variety, or is it just the one hero mask? Like sometimes there's hero, there's stunt, there's
Oh no, there's a lot of them. I think we ended up making 4 or 5 that got
So there's
trashed
just a
along the
room with these faces, just all staring at you, looking at the camera.
We have
My-
a lot of them.
my
Because here
bedroom.
we are.
It's off-putting.
They are.
A lot of it too comes down to the finishing work and the hair and the makeup on it, because ultimately it is sort of generic female, but
Yep.
it's stylized after a very specific time period so that it sort of embodies a specific person. But like Bryan said, you really have to walk a line to make sure you're doing things without stepping on anybody's toes.
Well, I saw you yesterday. Kyra was wearing the mask yesterday, if you saw out front, supporting the movie with her QR code there. And then I saw Tony with just the hairbrush and the hairspray ready to you have to do hair and makeup on the mask, because instead
Oh
of the
yeah,
mask
it's
without
like, first impression is everything, right? You gotta look good.
Yeah, and that's how it was basically on set too. My dad wasn't with somebody else was there with the hairbrush and the hairspray, but it was basically like every take, like the hair's in her eyes, get it out.
And so then, Tony, you did more of the kind of gag, the blood gags, kills effects on the movie. I don't know if we can say any specifics on anything. I know we saw a little bit in the trailer of a.
It's kids go to a cabin to get away, and somebody snags this mask and comes after them, and they are gradually getting, attacked. So there's a lot of blood, and Kyra and Jimmy kept us pretty busy. Is a good, safe answer, maybe?
Yeah. Well, it's great because I don't think many people can just like go to their dad and be like, so I want to kill a guy this way. How do we go about doing that? It's really a pleasure. But like that was the thing. Jimmy and I had met working on Studio 666. The Foo Fighters did this horror movie. Yes, Queen Alexander Ward is here in the corner. He has a cameo in the movie. Yes, we love him for that. And that movie was like basically Dave Grohl and some guys and you being like, how do we kill people in interesting ways? And so when you're doing an indie film, you get the luxury of kind of coming up with your own foundation for how you want to kill people, which is really fun. And Jimmy is such a big horror nerd, had some great ideas. So it was like working with my dad on that was really special.
Well, yes, horror nerd, when I was talking to Jimmy before, so going back to writing, this is your first credited writing for a movie. You've been in front of the camera for so long.
Yeah.
One, kind of how was it being behind the camera? And I think you also said that originally writing was maybe where you were going to be headed when you were studying in school and everything.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to be an English teacher. I was really interested in that. That seemed to be the thing in the world that I could wrap my mind around. Never met an actor, never met anyone who made their living from art ever. And so went to a small school. Shawnee Smith is here, you guys. Shawnee Smith is here. Shawnee Smith is here, you guys.
Here. Holy shit.
A wild Shawnee has appeared.
Oh my God.
Welcome. Come on in. We got a seat over there for you.
Yeah.
You just hang right there. Oh, we get hugs.
Shawnee's awesome. Shawnee's also in this movie, guys. She's the best. We love her. Yeah.
Tony and Shawnee did the Blob remake together. Like, wow. Yeah.
A long time ago.
Yes. Yeah, that was another interesting thing. Casting this character, Shawnee plays Jenna, and she and my dad had worked on The Blob from 1988, and it was like, and my mom, who's in the audience as well. Hi, Mom. Hi. Oh, yeah. They haven't seen each other for like 40 years.
They were cheerleaders
Crazy.
together.
You made a
It's all
human.
happening.
And now she's directing.
Yes. And so is Verve, Shawnee's daughter. It's great.
Yeah. That's how I played that long game.
Well, I guess with Shawnee here, we should talk about the actors that are in this fine film. I saw in the clip there that Shawnee had a compact thrown at her face or something of that nature.
Yes. Shawnee could talk about it, but her character gets a compact mirror thrown at her face, and it took us about like 10 times to try and actually hit you in the face.
It was much more difficult and complicated than the stunts in The Blob. But it is called Sleigh, so someone must have a compact thrown in their face.
So Sleigh. Yeah. Yeah. We have our film stars Zoe Luna, and she was in The Craft Legacy, if you've seen that. And then Melina Weissman was in a series of unfortunate events. I mentioned Sean, Talia Jackson, River Alexander, Reese Alexander, Andrew Bowser, who plays Onyx the Fortuitous. If you have seen Onyx the Fortuitous in The Talisman of Souls, say that 5 times fast. And then Shawnee Smith plays Jenna, and she has a talk show.
Can you talk a little bit about your character, Shawnee?
Yes. I like Jenna.
Okay.
I like Jenna because I don't like all my characters. Actually, I do like all my characters. But she's tough and has a point of view, but also gets moved, you know. It's unusual in these times to be like malleable, you know? So I think that's beautiful that she can have she can be, what's the word? She can bend.
Speaking on the cast, there was someone that you dubbed on set the comedy Kilmer, like a little comedy Val Kilmer actor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So me and my best friend, James Rodriguez, we're obsessed with not just horror. The Friday the 13th is our favorite series. We know everything about it. Yes for the clapping. But also we are obsessed, like Val Kilmer kind of showed us what fun is with Top Secret and Real Genius. And so he's our icon. And that's what we want it to be. And we always notice when someone else is kind of plucking these little moments of awesomeness, and this kid just kept showing up and doing these like improvisations and just breathing life into the douchebag boyfriend character. It was probably the most two-dimensional character I wrote, for sure. And it ended up being this 6-dimensional, wonderful like addition to the movie. His name's Beck Nolan. I happen to be working on season 2 of Dark Matter right now in Chicago, and he's a Chicago actor, so he's just kind of through and through. Anyway, love the kid. The whole cast is amazing, but he's the kind of Kilmer. And it was also amazing to see Sean pop out of that sitcom Goldbergs, which I love. My buddy created it, but it's like he's such this heart. He's like his heart. You could feel it beating through any clothes he's wearing, and he lended such heart to the
Yours, Jimmy.
to the cuck. You know, go on.
Aw.
Keep going.
It's true. He's like the kindest.
Stop it.
He was the kindest producer I've ever worked with. He just walked around all day, just, what can I do? What can I do?
Well, I was doing what people never do. I was trying to do the thing that I would love for someone to do on my set.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice being on the other side of it in front of the camera. Like, what do I always want from a producer? You're like, I'm doing it. I'm just gonna go there, and take care of it. But then with one of the performance, the big performance you were worried about in the edit, and you've been editing right now, and you saw that how big he was going.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking to Beck Nolan, it was so great also having Jimmy there with so much experience as an actor and the writer, because Beck would make these big swings, like I'm talking big, like hung on the ceiling of a room at one point randomly. And I was like, oh my God, this isn't going to be able to cut together. Like, what is happening? And Jimmy just saw that element to him and he was like, let him have fun. And it is the best thing to play with in the edit. He really shines and it really makes those characters pop. So it was like a big lesson learning for me of like, even if you don't have the time, make the time to let your actor make a bold choice. Because so often, and I'm not saying all new actors do that, but so often there's a lack of any choice sometimes. And so if somebody's going to go hard, let them play.
Yeah.
That's my 2 cents there. Yeah, acting.
And so, for Tony, I'm a new dad myself, and so
Congrats.
as a dad, you become very protective of your child and things of that nature. How was it watching everything your daughter went through on this first? Like, this was her first movie, and a lot of stuff. When, like they say, your first movie, very hard. This one was very difficult with a lot of things that happened to get this actually made. How did you see that from the outs?
It started out like really great, so it was really exciting to like go to set and I mean to watch them put it together was awesome. See how organized it was, and then to go to set and realize they're shooting nights and sleeping during the day, and she's cheerleading the whole crew and keeping everybody up and focused and all that. I was really proud of her and really proud of what I was seeing, and I was enjoying it, being there and enjoying the experience as well. So it was like this great thing. And then as it got more complicated with the people that were involved, I started feeling, obviously as a parent, very bad for her. And we were feeling very protective and wanted to make sure she was going to survive this. But we knew she had Jimmy and she had a great support team there. And I think we all just sort of kept the mantra of, okay, it's only 3 more weeks. It's only 2 more weeks. And it's like having some sort of a countdown and knowing there's at least an end date to this piece of it, I think really helps keep you sane. But I mean, we were all just really concerned for them making the finish line and her carrying more and more responsibility and more department heads' responsibilities as it went, just wanting to make sure like her head didn't explode and she'd actually make it to the finish line, you know what I mean? So we were concerned, but we were watching what was happening on set every day and the atmosphere and just the quality of the dailies and everything. And it was like, I know it's supposed to be really hard your first time, and yours unfortunately is 10 times harder than that, but she pulled it off, so we couldn't be prouder. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dad.
Listen, I don't think you can make a movie called Sleigh without some drama.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
Yeah, can't be called Sleigh without some drama.
But going back briefly back over to writing, big horror nerd over there, Jimmy. Anything particularly you took kind of inspiration from in this script when you're writing? Things that you're just like, oh, I love this kind of thing, and yeah.
Well, yeah, I think we both kind of really wanted to build this reality and then throw in some blood. It wasn't like that's not the point. The point was teenagers interacting in that time of life when they start being able to hurt each other more than anything else. And so like pulls from The Breakfast Club, but it's about taking these tropes and grounding them, making them a little bit more relatable and specific to us so we can see often we see ourselves not in the general projections, but in the specificity, because like, oh, I'm the only one of me too. And so that's kind of where we went. And then we threw in a scythe,
Breakfast Club, but with scythes and knives and hammers.
Yeah, a scythe. What do you call that?
Yeah.
The scythe.
Yeah,
The side. Yeah. Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
And then I just will say that I know that there's one little Easter egg that relates to me very well. We're both fans of Tremors. the movie Tremors.
Yes,
And you
big.
told me that there was a little line that you snuck in that you tried to get the actor to say just right, but didn't really know Tremors.
It's funny. It's the one time Beck actually fought us is because and when you're dealing with, and all of these guys were artists, and like Kyra's right, you got to let them fly, and they have something very specific they want to do. But I saw you dressed as Michael Gross in Tremors, and I was like, oh my God. You remember Michael Gross? He's the one who keeps yelling "Mother Humpers" because it's a PG-13 movie, so they couldn't say the other one, and he makes it work. And so I put that in the script. The character just really wants there to be ice. He just wants to have his drink, and it's Mother Humpers, and he wouldn't do it.
Didn't want to say Mother Humper.
It's kind of like I have this blooper on Sunny where I was being pushed to like say a line more and more. And so finally, the take that they used was the one where it's like, oh, F it, you want to see more? Here's more. And that's kind of what his Mother Humper was.
What was the line? It's always sunny.
He's dead.
He's dead?
He's dead? Yeah.
Oh, I'm just so happy that Mother Humpers.
Yeah.
It works so well. He's going to hate how good it works because he said it with spite.
So where is the movie now? Like, what's the process that we've got? We've got the Kickstarter
Yes.
QR code there and everything.
So where we're at now is, basically trying to get through the rest of post-production, which is our composers. We have these lovely composers, Delaney Rosenthal and Matt Composure. I can't believe I said that right. And they're composing the film for us. And we're not trying to be traditional. We're trying to make something interesting. And like our scores in moments inspired by Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon, not the live action. We don't talk about that one. Yeah.
It's not inspired.
There's moments.
But I just don't. But that was what you said. Oh, let's go that direction.
Yeah.
Because what they were creating was this like Michael Andrews, the composer of like You and Me and Everyone We Know, kind of this really organic, independent sound.
Yeah.
And then she's guiding them into like, oh, pop this because we all love that feeling. It was really cool collaborative.
Yeah. So trying to be non-traditional in the spaces that we can be, and then obviously you still need to appease horror fans and be scary when you need to be and have the nice kills when you're on a budget. And so composing and VFX and color grading and all those things. So if you scan our QR code, we are raising funds for post-production. I know it's a tough time, like literally for everybody right now. It's shit time for movies. It's shit time for indie horror. But above everything,
this is the best time to be a part of something like this.
Yeah, girl.
Own that shit, Mother Humper.
But be a part of this, because this one's cool. And but even just sharing the link, spreading the word, because once we're done post-production, hopefully, we're going to submit to all the major festivals for next year, and we'll be there, but hopefully also get distribution. So, and if you scan the QR code as well, like there will be updates for where this film is going. Once this thing is funded and done, it's not going to be the last what you see of it. We will let everybody know exactly what's happening with the film, how you can watch it, where you can watch it, all those things.
Yeah, and no shade on Chucky, but we're the actual good guys. We're the guys that we're trying to tell really good stories, and this is the beginning. So thanks for being here at the genesis of like we're gonna make a lot of horror movies together.
Yeah.
And this is just number one. So thank you.
Just the start.
guys.
Familia.
Yeah.
Familia.
From the Blob. I mean, like, horror doesn't get. This is the OG family.
We have another
Get in
30
there.
years.
Yeah, another 40.
Another 30 years of us doing stuff.
Hell yeah.
Now
Our
with our
grandkids going to be directing and
Yes.
We'll be brains in a jar. But
making QR codes and get creative,
New shit.
being interesting.
Yeah.
Go team, go.
The funny part was that they had both, Shawnee and my dad had done The Blob together forever ago, but they never got to see each other on set. Not a single day did you guys overlap. So they re-met later at a
Well, we did like
convention.
casting and stuff, like.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
Because we
not
did
like.
Because we did the dummy of you for the motorcycle scene.
Yeah. I didn't realize how many limbs were broken in the
Yeah.
motorcycle scene.
Yeah. But then they never used that dummy, and it got hauled around by people. Like, I don't know where you are right now. There's a dummy of you out there somewhere.
Really well.
Shawnee
Who's
was
the
on.
real dummy? Shawnee? The jury's out.
Well, as we're approaching our last stretch of the part here, something I always do when I go through kind of big experiences in life is I like to pick out what's called a rose and a thorn
Okay.
of, basically listing one negative thing, one positive thing. There are a lot of negative things. We're going to ignore the thorns this time, and we're just
Ignore
going
all
to see
those.
each person here just kind of picking a rose, a moment from the production, something that they learned, something that they remember, it's a memory that they'll have, just anything
The
at all.
letter I got from Kyra before I. Yeah,
Yeah?
she sent me a letter, and I was like, "I'll do anything for you, anytime." It was beautiful, really was. It was like one of those life moments, Mom,
Yeah.
it was an awesome letter.
When we were thinking of casting Jenna, Shawnee came to mind, and I love the Blob. I love Shawnee's character in the Blob. She's such a badass. It's so cool, and all the stories my dad shares from that movie are like so incredible. The effects are amazing. My mom's a cheerleader in it, and then she dies, and then my dad was like questioned by police bringing her fake dead body into a movie theater. Like, it's a great time, but Shawnee has just been like a name that I've known forever, and so like I wanted the same opportunity as my dad had in 1988 to start my career with her, and I have her sweater from the Blob in my closet from my mom, and I was just like,
I said you must be made like destined for big things because you learned so much on your first movie.
so much. Really, it was a crash course, and then it
Yeah.
crashed again.
You're getting like trued like a sword, No, like you true a wheel, and what do you do to a sword? You put it in the hot and cold and hot and cold.
Oh, you the temperate.
Tempering.
You're getting tempered and trued.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like that. And then I'll
For
come
sure.
out stronger, hopefully.
Absolutely. Very good.
Do you have a rose?
What's your rose?
Oh yeah, I had a great rose. So like I was saying, I went to school to be an English teacher, and I took this course that ended up putting me in a theater class, and the professor said at the end of the class, you should try this as a major. And I'd never really been invited anywhere, so I went along. And then so many years later, I was able to put her in this movie. And we've stayed in touch, me and Professor Cannon, some have stayed in touch
We had
forever.
beers at the bar
Yeah.
in
yeah.
the scary neighborhood.
We sure did. And so I got to put the person who put me into acting in this movie.
Yes. She has
Pretty
a little
dope.
cameo. It's very cute.
It's great. Yeah.
For me, a favorite was just being on set and watching everybody, watching Kyra basically steer the boat and watching everybody listen and pay attention and respect her and everybody step up their game. I mean, just watching the collective group work together to make stuff happen was amazing, but then to see Kyra driving the boat was extra special.
Thanks, Dad. That's my dad.
Brian, was there anything from your workshop?
Yeah. I would say my favorite part was when Kyra came in and said, I can't get the design for the mask to work. So we sat there for a day and made some pretty horrific creations until we arrived at this one. But it was just a lot of fun to sit there and try stuff with her and figure it out together.
Yeah. Yeah. But we won't let anybody see the non ended up masks. Yeah.
Those are for the sequel.
Very good. All right. Any final thoughts, Kyra, that you want to say about the film before we wrap up?
First of all, my roses are just being with Jimmy every day. It was really hard, and we'd like wrap at like 8 in the morning, and we'd go back to our cabin in the middle of fuck nowhere, Ohio. And but it would be the morning, and there were these fireflies that would come out in the morning. I'd never seen fireflies before, and so we would have such a hard day. But then it was like the light of my life and the lights of life in the same thing. So like having my dad's support, family, but also one of my favorite days on set was getting to work with Shawnee. Especially one of our days was in a studio.
Just the beginning, girl.
I fucking hope so. And it was one of our controlled days. So it was just such a blessing.
Hi,
to have-
Tobin.
Bye, Tobin Bell.
Nobody harass him because I called him out.
But
We
yeah,
love you.
just getting to play with like such experienced actresses like Shawnee and Aya Cash is also in this movie, and working with people who have done this for a long time, but also see you as a woman in this industry, in this genre. It is fucking hard. People think you don't know anything because of your gender.
Story of survival.
Yes.
Almost 5 decades
Exactly.
before the Me Too movement.
Yeah. And so just seeing truly people in this craft, but especially women who actually support other women in this craft, was just such a blessing to experience. Sleigh.
So yeah, Sleigh, you have QR codes out there. Please support in any way, whether it's just sharing $1, anything. It
Literally.
helps over time. Because as I've said, the horror community is the kindest, most loving community
So
in
is.
the world. Well, we all love murder and death and seeing all this awful things, but we love each other and we love supporting, especially independent horror. That's where the most interesting ideas are coming from. And we want to see our good
wanna
friend
see
here
Kidface
return.
kill some kids.
Thank you all for coming out. Thank you, Monsterpalooza.
Thank you guys.
Everybody.
Thank you so much.
Support.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to the live episode of our podcast at Monsterpalooza. I just wanted to give you all a little bit more context as well about the film. You know, we sort of accidentally fell into the slasher genre. The thing I loved about writing this movie with Jimmy was that it was really about the characters and making characters that are specific. He talked about it at Monsterpalooza, but we really touched on specificity. We wanted you to get to know them before they potentially die. I think at this point in the horror genre, we sometimes lack that empathy and care for our characters before they're done away with. So we hope we did do justice there. And it's sort of more than just a horror genre. And there are some great gore, kills, and effects brought to life by my dad here, Tony Gardner, but it's all within a budget as well. So it's bloody, but bloody on a budget.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about sort of how you went about making some of the stuff without giving too much away? I also just want to
mystery
yes, with
of
the
how
mystery.
to speak.
Yes.
Yeah, well, we had to bring several of the actors being a gender neutral term, so
Gender
you don't know who
ambiguous.
we're talking about, into the shop so that we could life cast them or scan them so that we could create duplicate heads or body parts that we needed to work with in order to address some of the gore stuff that happens in the movie. It's kids in a cabin and a masked killer, so obviously somebody dies. Other people maybe get wounded and keep going, or things happen that you're not expecting. So the idea was to get them in early so that we could manufacture everything well in advance and mock it up and rehearse it, because the goal was to do everything practical.
Yes.
Because that's what makeup effects are all about. And then just use digital where it's needed to like enhance stuff.
Yeah, I will proudly say, as we are in the editing room for this movie, that like 95% of what you're going to see on screen is all practical effects. It's only going to be digital enhancements of what's needed, but which is really cool, and I think rare for horror movies as much these days. You know, I recently saw a horror movie, I won't mention what, on Netflix, and it was all digital kills.
Really?
All digital kills. And that sort of takes the life out of it.
Some wah.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to working like with Chris Landon or Josh Rubin, where
We
they
love Josh
want
Rubin.
it to be there and want it to be real and want it to be happening. I mean, even in Freaky, the girl getting her head bashed in with a toilet seat, we built a fake head and bust of her on a body that mounted to the floor in front of a toilet and beat the shit out of it. And it could have just been a toilet seat that had a stopper on it, you know, and using the person or some sort of digital thing. But that whole visceral reaction of person making the action to do it, and then the response to that, and the being able to watch it happen on screen just makes it more real.
Yeah.
So
And we're finding the same effect in the editing room right now. Our editor, Chris LaRusso, will sometimes tell Jimmy and I of a certain scene when he's editing. He's like, people walk by and they go, how the fuck did you do that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
And then he's like, movie magic.
Movie magic.
Movie magic. Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say, I feel like we manifested Hard Eyes 2 in this very room because I feel like it's happening for Josh Rubin, and that's exciting. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I hope it's in the ether. But
that'd be nice.
I also just wanted to share a piece of advice or sort of what I've learned from this experience that I can share so far while this film is still finishing, is that be aware of who you're surrounding yourself with. This industry is very hard and very challenging. And what I've learned as a female in this industry, especially this genre, is that it's even more important of who you're surrounding yourself with. We need male producers who lift up and support women and minorities, like women of color, the LGBTQ community, and things like that. And it's what we don't need is people stepping out of the way for women to bring up a chair. We need somebody to bring the chair with them. And that's what I found, especially on reshoots of Sleigh, watching Jimmi Simpson, my dad, Tony Gardner, and our new producer who came on at post-production, Scott Foley, all fully, deeply supporting me. Like the three of them all on the forest ground, like trying to figure out how to do this special effect.
Do a rig?
Yeah, it was one of those moments where I genuinely felt so supported and by men, which was rare for me at the time. And so that's just something I want to shout out, is like find the people like I did towards the end of this, of like the Scotts, the Jimmies, even Josh Rubin. I called him asking advice on our festival circuit and things like that. There are people who will say that they support women and minorities, but often the people who talk about it a lot aren't the ones who match those actions.
And they're not doing anything, and that's what matters.
And you need people who actually do what they're going to say. So that's my piece of advice, is try to find people like that, because the end of this shooting this movie was so rewarding in seeing that.
I think with anything that you do, and if you're going to work with people and your hours are going to be 18 hours a day, you need to find out as much about them as possible. Get a second opinion, talk to other people that have worked with them, get references, because when you're in the heat of trying to make the movie, you're not going to have time for anything else. So know that you're all going in solid as a group. And like Kyra said before, communication is really important. And like you doing storyboards and showing them to people in advance so people know what's in your brain. I mean, that's the kind of communication that needs to happen in film. It's a visual medium, and the more you can share stuff, the better off you are. But to your point, surround yourself with the right people and the best people for the job.
I agree. That's all. I don't know how to segue out of that, but that was great. We currently, like we said in the Monsterpalooza panel, have a Kickstarter going on to raise funds for the rest of post-production. If you'd like to check it out, there's also updates on the film. If you're unable to donate, that's okay. You can stay updated with the movie. You can also just share the URL link for the film, or even donate $1.
Yeah, anything helps. And if you can share it with other people, that helps too.
Yes.
And this is a good month to be sharing this film, actually.
Yes, this is a very good month to be sharing this film. It's LGBTQ. It's Pride Month, and we love that. Our lead actress from the film, Zoe Luna, she is trans, and something that really made me want to do this project, even though it came sort of based on an idea without a full script at the start, was that her character, Chloe, just gets to be a girl. I think that's so important for the trans community, is showing the community in its fullest. And Zoe did her own makeup on the film. She did her own hair, and she really had agency of what she had control over, which I think was hopefully helpful. And she looks great. I really like it. And our costume designer, Haley McCoon, had some really cool outfits for her. If you see our sizzle, that's out on YouTube right now, and Kickstarter, there's this funeral scene where she's in this bitchin' black dress with white sleeves and pink bows, and the casket behind her is pink, and it's so Sleigh. So we hope you celebrate Pride maybe with us and share the link for Sleigh.
Get it done.
Get it done. And we hope to report to you next month that we have raised the funds for our Kickstarter. So fingers crossed.
And again, Kickstarter is just for the funds for post-production to be able to finish the film, right?
Correct. We already shot everything.
Yeah.
So you can see what it looks like without even color grading or sound design or VFX in the sizzle. So if you like what you see, just know it can be even better with your help. It will be better with your help, hopefully.
Yeah. Cool.
Cool. Well, we'll see you next month on the podcast, and we hope you all slay the day.
Ooh.